please hit that subscribe button. Hey everybody, better suited to win the Stanley Cup this season. If you are new to the channel, Washington Capitals, the Boston Bruins.
Locked on and he scored! And we're live. Hey everybody, so today we're going to be looking ahead to the 2020 off season, specifically looking at restricted free agents. And in this video, I want to count down the 10 best upcoming RFAs in 2020 and just talk a little bit about them and, you know, whether or not I think they stay with their current team or they might get offer sheeted, or what could potentially happen over the summer this year when these guys are up for a new contract. So before we start, I just have to ask that you please hit that subscribe button if you are new, and give this video a thumbs up if you haven't already, as both of those things greatly help out the channel and are very much appreciated. But let's get into it here. Starting at number 10 with center Anthony Cirelli, currently of the Tampa Bay Lightning. He coming off a really solid season with Tampa Bay, or I guess it's still technically ongoing, but so far in this season he's played 68 games, scoring 16 goals, 28 assists for 44 points and a plus 28 rating. He's become a very impactful middle of the lineup center for the Lightning, guy that plays mostly third line but can chip in with second line type offense. Real gritty player, plays with a real edge. He's an agitator. He gets under your skin. He's not afraid to get involved physically. He hits. He can fight if he needs to. He's become a really awesome player. One of my favorites to watch in the league, and I'm sure Tampa Bay is going to want to keep him. As you can see, he's got 94 points in 168 career games and a plus 64 rating. He's an incredibly good two-way player. This is a guy that Tampa Bay is going to want to keep, but it's going to be interesting because they have multiple players up, and they're already up against the salary cap. They've got multiple players that need new contracts, including Cirelli, including Mikhail Sergachev, including Eric Chernak. So it's gonna be an interesting cap situation, and I would not be surprised if another team goes out and either tries to trade for or just flat out offer sheets Anthony Cirelli, because he is a very impactful player who's still very young, just 22 years old, and somebody who I think is going to be a really good player for a long time in this league. And Tampa Bay is going to be tight if they can get him re-signed or not with the salary cap. Chances are Tampa is going to be losing at someone. It's just a matter of who they let go and who they keep, and it's going to be interesting to see if Cirelli is on that keep list or let go. I would think best case scenario, Tampa obviously wants to keep him, but with the cap situation there down in Tampa Bay, it's going to be interesting. Number 9, we have Tyler Bertuzzi. Left wing for the Detroit Red Wings. He will be 25 at the time of free agency. Had a career best season this year with Detroit. In 71 games played, he scored 21 goals, 27 assists for 48 points, and a minus 23 rating. Obviously, on the worst team in the league, you're going to be a heavy minus. But he solidified himself as a top 6 player this season, a 20-goal scorer and almost 50-point player. He's another guy who plays with an edge, who can get involved physically. He can hit and fight if he needs to. He's a bit of an agitator. He gets under the opponent's skin. He's played 199 career games and put up 119 points in those games, so obviously he can certainly bring the offense as well. It's a really solid player who I certainly expect Detroit to keep. He's going to be a big part of that team going forward, along with Dylan Larkin, Anthony Mantha, Philip Hronek, and obviously they're hoping for the first overall draft pick in the draft this season so they can get Alexis Lafreniere. But Bertuzzi's a young guy who's going to be a big part of this team going forward. At number 8, we have Victor Olufsen, winger for the Buffalo Sabres, 24 years old, or at least will be when free agency hits. But 54 games played this season, 20 goals, 22 assists for 42 points and a -1 rating. He had a breakout year this year in his first full season in the NHL. And he had shown himself to be a fantastic goal scorer for the Buffalo Sabres, a guy with a wicked shot, puts up a lot of power play goals, and just a good offensive top 6 winger who can really score. So obviously this is a guy that Buffalo is going to be keeping. I think no matter what, they're going to keep Victor Olufsen. He's somebody that maybe they can finally put with Jack Eichel and give Jack Eichel some help there up on the first line. I know he only played 54 games this year. He did miss time with injury, but when he's healthy, I see a 30 to 35 goal scorer year in and year out in Victor Olufsen, and I think that's could be a deadly duo along with Jack Eichel there in Buffalo. Number 7, we have Max Domi, forward for the Montreal Canadiens. And obviously Max Domi this year did not have as great of a year as he did last season. He had 72 points last season. This season he had 71 games played, 17 goals, 27 assists for 44 points and a -3. But Domi is obviously a big part of that Canadiens team offensively. He's one of their top point producers. He's a top 6 forward for them, and he's another guy who brings that physicality. He plays with that edge and can really, can get under the opponent's skin, can drop the gloves, and can be an impactful player in more ways than just one. A bit of a down year this year, but still a really solid player. We look at his career numbers: 375 games played, 81 goals, 170 assists for 251 points. I mean, this guy brings it, and I do expect him to come to terms with the Canadiens and him to stick around in Montreal. I think he likes playing in Montreal. Obviously, I think Montreal wants to keep him, and I do think that there's going to be a deal there. Number 6, we've got forward Ryan Strome from the New York Rangers. He'll be 26. He's a little bit older. A lot of these guys we're seeing are in their early 20s, some in their mid-20s. But Strome's a little bit older at 26, been in the league a little longer, but he had a breakout season. Ryan Strome finally became the player that he was expected to be this season with New York. 70 games played, 18 goals, 41 assists for 59 points, and a +21 rating, an outstanding career best season for Strome. And he's, after being labeled a bust and after, years of underperforming and not producing at the level he was supposed to, he really seems to have found a home with the Rangers. And I do think that there's going to be interest from other teams in Ryan Strome because of how he performed this year, but quite honestly, I can't see him going anywhere else. Why would he leave after having one good year with the Islanders and then falling off a cliff and then being absolutely horrible with the Edmonton Oilers? He finally finds a home with the Rangers where he fits in and he plays well, and he's really become a really good player there. Why would he want to leave that? I think there's going to be a deal in place there where he is going to be the second line center. Obviously, you have the dynamic duo of Zibanejad and Panarin on your top line. I think you're going to see a second line of Strome and Kreider and a great duo on the second line there. I do think Strome ends up back with New York, and he was absolutely fantastic for them this season. Moving on now, number 5, we have winger Dominik Kubalk from the Chicago Blackhawks, who in his first NHL season this year burst onto the scene with an incredible 30-goal year, 68 games played, 30 goals, 16 assists for 46 points and a +2 rating. He has proven himself to be a high-level goal scorer for the Blackhawks. 24 years old, going to be a guy who I really think stays in Chicago. Chicago, obviously a rebuilding team somewhat, a team that's not really a playoff level team, looking to infuse the lineup with young talent. Well, you have young talent right here with Kubalk. He is a great goal scorer to just come into the league in your first year. A little bit older. He did take some time to develop, but he's a little bit older. But he came in at 24, ready to go, and just put up a 30-goal season on one of the bottom teams in the Western Conference. So I think this kid's got a lot of talent. He's a high-level goal scorer, and I think he probably stays with Chicago. Number 4, we have our one and only defenseman on the list, Anthony DAngelo, or Tony DAngelo, from the New York Rangers. The 24-year-old played 68 games this year, having a by far career best season with 15 goals, 38 assists for 53 points. Absolutely outstanding year this year for DAngelo. he finally has arrived. He's finally found it at the NHL level where he's now a top 4 defenseman and a very, very good player. I think there's going to be interest in him. I don't know if he necessarily, I don't know if any of these players are going to be going, somewhere else or staying with their current teams. I'm not an executive, but DAngelo is a guy that I do think there's going to be significant interest in from other teams around in the offseason, whether that's an offer sheet, whether it's through trade. This is a guy who, any 50-point defenseman is going to have interest. And for a guy who's, this young and really just coming into his own at the NHL level, we could see a really, really good top 4 defenseman here for a long time in this league. And I think that there are going to be a lot of teams looking to get that. And really, he's had this year was obviously his best season, but in 200 games, he's got 105 points in his career. So that's a very good point-producing defenseman right there. And I think there's going to be a lot of interest from around the league in that. Number 3, we have Sam Reinhart, forward from the Buffalo Sabres. He really had a great season this year, a breakout season this year, where for a long time he just wasn't producing at the level he was expected to, given where he was drafted and what he was supposed to become. But this year he kind of finally did that. He played 69 games, scoring 22 goals, 28 assists for 50 points and a -15 rating. Again, not on a good team. 50-point year for Reinhart, solidifying himself as a second-line center. And somebody who can play the wing or can play center, depending on who you want to match him up with or put him on a line with. I like him as a second-line center. I think Buffalo does too. I think they want Eichel is their number 1, Reinhart is their number 2. I think that'd be a good 1-2 punch down the middle. So I don't know. I don't really think he's going to be going anywhere. I think Buffalo gets it done and keeps him around. And, he's already played 400 career games in the NHL. He's, still a young guy, but he's been around a long time. And this season, he really, really produced at a very high level. Number 2, we have center Pierre-Luc Dubois from the Columbus Blue Jackets. 22 years old, 70 games played this season, 18 goals, 31 assists for 49 points and a -9 rating. He's got 158 points in 234 career games and a plus player at +22. High level player here. Still very young, early 20s, still can get better. I think he's going to be number 1 center in the NHL. He's a big body. He goes to the net. He can score dirty goals. He can handle himself physically. I wouldn't call him a tough player or a super physical player, but he uses his size to where he can handle himself physically. He doesn't go out of his way to get to cause fights and things of that nature on the ice, but if they start to happen, he is physical enough to where he can handle himself, and that's a good thing to have. It's not like he's getting pushed around by opponents, particularly. That's great to have come playoff time. This is a high level player. I think he's going to be, when it's all said and done, probably a 60 to 70 point type player, a top 6 center for sure. And somebody who can produce at a very high level. So Pierre-Luc Dubois, I would think Columbus is going to do everything they can to keep him, particularly given all that they lost last offseason. I think this is a must-keep guy for Columbus, so I don't see Dubois going anywhere. And finally, number 1, the best restricted free agent this summer is Matt Barzal, obviously from the New York Islanders. Just outstanding player. Number 1 center already. 19 goals, 41 assists for 60 points this season. Just unbelievable year. Outstanding season. And not even his best. He still hasn't matched the point total from his rookie season, but obviously he had John Tavares there his rookie year. Since then, he's kind of become the guy. He is their best offensive player. He is their number 1 center. And he's put up 207 points in 234 games played in his career. I think over the course of his career, he is going to be a better than point per game player. Obviously, he's still very young, 23 years old at the time of free agency. Still got developing to go, still can get even better, and he is going to be a superstar in this league. I expect that there will be offer sheets on Matt Barzal this summer. But to teams looking to offer sheet Matt Barzal, don't even bother. Don't waste your time, because the Islanders are going to match any offer sheet that comes their way on Barzal. He is this team's future. He is their number one guy. He is their new superstar. He is, absolutely their best offensive player, and going to be for the next 10 to 15 years. Absolute superstar in the making in Matt Barzal, and he is the number one restricted free agent coming up this summer in the NHL. So there you have it, guys. My top 10 RFAs in 2020. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description below. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our Patreon and merchandise store are down in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.